and today I am doing my spoiler-free review of Mask of Mirrors by M.A. Carrick. This is a book that I received as a NetGalley e-ARC, so thank you so much. And it is an adult political fantasy. Spoiler alert, I liked it. I really enjoyed this book, and I really think that you should pick it up if you like more political drama heavy fantasy. If you are going in looking for like battles and magic and this and that, you're not gonna get that here. Like, there is, but that's not what you're gonna get. You're gonna get a slower paced political fantasy. Think Well of Ascension, if you've read that, where it's a little more politic heavy and a little less like battle magic heavy until the very end. So, like I said, this is an adult fantasy by M.A. Carrick. And M.A. Carrick is actually two female authors writing as a duo together, which I thought was super cool. I always like duo authors, like when they work together. I just think it's so cool. So I was really happy to find that out. I have not read anything by either author individually yet, but I really want to. I know one of the authors is the author of the Lady Trench series, which is one that I'm really interested in picking up. So kind of pushing me to go get that even sooner. A quick synopsis of this book. We are following Ren, who is like a poor orphan who is a former thief, and we're following her as she returns to her home city after a few years away, and she has this idea of this long con to con the nobility of this world. Her plan is to earn a spot amongst one of the noble houses by pretending to be a long lost member of the family. And she kind of goes into it knowing this is a long con. This is not a short, day to. She knows this is going to be a process. So she is ready and she has everything she needs. It's her and her found family sister, Tess, who is posing as her maid and seamstress, and they are just... they're ready. They are getting into this family. That is definitely the short and sweet of it, but this book is definitely so much more. So not only do we follow Ren, who in my opinion is kind of our main perspective, we also follow a ton of other people. There are quite a few different POVs, and each one is really well developed. No one is really boring and bland and one-dimensional. Every single character is multifaceted and is kind of doing their own thing, and they have reasons for what they're doing. And a lot of those reasons kind of seem obscure until the very end, and you're like, oh, okay, everything comes together. But we are definitely following a whole host of characters, and every single one of them is different and has their own personal motivations that end up moving the plot forward as a whole. This book has a little bit of everything. It has some romance, but it is very light romance. It is not super romance heavy. We have a lot of politics. There is magic, and there is this overarching mystery, and there is kind of this thriller-y aspect where we're trying to figure out different things that are going on and investigating different murders, and it's just so complex and so good. And it's really cool seeing how all these little plot points throughout the book converge kind of at the end, and you're like, oh, that makes sense with that, and when that happened, that's this. And it seems like it took a lot of foreshadowing and working together to really make this story stick home. One thing I will have to say is it kind of felt like this book could have been two different books, because the first half of it was a little bit slower, definitely heavier on the politics, lighter on the magic, and then there's this stark moment kind of in the middle where a lot of the tone shifts, and we definitely start really delving into the fantasy magical aspect of the story, which for me didn't bother me at all. I actually really liked it because it just kind of was like, we're going along, something happens and it changes everything. And I really enjoyed that because it was done well and it made sense within the world. It wasn't just a weird change for no reason. Like, it made sense as a plot point and it made sense as something that would actually happen in this world. But just know, there is a kind of stark change from beginning to end. Another thing that I really, really enjoyed about this book was the representation. We have trans characters and gay characters and bi characters, and it's not a big deal. Like, in this world, it just is what it is, and no one even bats an eye when this character is trans, or this character is seeing men and women, or this character is gay. Like, no one cares. And it's great. Like, there's like little comments made of, oh, like, you know, if you're not looking for a lady to marry, we can find you a lord. Like that, and that's it. And I really, really appreciated that because it doesn't make it a big deal. It just makes it to where this world is very accepting of that aspect of life. They're not accepting of other things, you know, like a woman's place, but, you know, they're accepting of people in their different sexualities, which I thought was fantastic. The magic system in this book is something that I really enjoyed, and it still confused me. I'm still kind of confused as to how the magic works, but it's okay. It is not super, super detailed, and like, you don't get all the information about it like you would like in a Sanderson book. It's just kind of magic, and we know that it has something to do with different deities, and there are actually two kinds of magic. One is more like inscription, the way I kind of understood it. Like, you have to like create runes, basically. Kind of like the magic in Elantris in a way. But there's also a more like dream-like magic. And we have a lot of references to like pattern reading. And it was very similar to like tarot cards. And I really, really enjoyed kind of learning the two different magic systems, and I'm really curious to see in the next book like how they play together, like how these two different kinds of magic end up working with or against each other. It's also, I just loved the characters. This is a very character heavy book. You have to learn a lot of names, and it can be a little much at times. But every single character was really well developed. Even the small side characters, I think, were really well developed. I really enjoyed our main characters, especially Ren, her sister Tess, and then Vargo, who is this like crime boss that you never really know his motivations. You never really know if you can trust him or not. Is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? Like, what is his motivation? And then we have Sergeant Gray, who is actually like a member of the lower class, but he has worked his way up to become what they call a hawk, which is a police officer. And, you know, his kind of ethnic group hates him because, you know, he's seen as betraying them, but like, he's still not a member of this like conquering race. So like, they look down on him. And he's stuck in this like weird place, and he's like investigating like these disappearing children. And I love his storyline. He is just one of my favorite characters. And we just follow so many different people. Like, I can't even tell you about all of them because there's so many and I don't want to spoil anything, but it is so good. And just learning the court intrigue and the politics, and y'all, if you like that kind of stuff, I definitely recommend you pick this book up because I think this is going to speak to anybody who likes that really complex political intrigue in a story. All right, so if you are looking for a really, really politically heavy, fun, adult fantasy with just a little bit of romance, a couple moments that'll kind of make you tear up, and some really, really great characters, really complex plot lines. I really recommend picking this book up. It will leave you wanting the next book, but not sad about a really bad cliffhanger, because we wrap up one plot line, like whole story, but then you can still see yourself being like, oh my gosh, okay, well now what next? Like, I know there's gonna be more, so now I need to know more, but it's not like an annoying cliffhanger that's gonna leave you annoyed for the rest of until the second book comes out. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Let me know what you thought of this book. If you plan on picking it up yourself, or if you've already picked it up, let me know. All right, thank you for hanging out with me. My name is Jessie, and I'll see you next time. Bye.